Beat 2, 3, 4. Okay, three-way dance, and I got to hit the music.
Uh-oh.
Developing story from our buddy Ben Jacobs. And like I said, I know this will shock both of you, and I know that this will shock humanity to its core. Exclusive from our buddy Ben Jacobs. I'll let the music play a little.
Let the suspense build.
Yeah, but it really, I know that this will shock both of you. Ben Jacobs at Gimme Sport saith, quote, Inter Miami are set to qualify for the Club World Cup after beating Columbus Crew to win the Supporters Shield for the first time. The victory, in which Messi scored twice to ensure Miami will finish top of the table. They can also win MLS Cup. MLS Cup doesn't conclude until December 7. Inter Miami are likely to be confirmed as the host representative, and Miami's Hard Rock could host the opening game featuring them. Confirmation of participation is expected soon, potentially this month. So I know you're both shocked that wild card is heading to Messi and friends. I don't know what the world is coming to. I'm stunned. Let me check my pulse. Yeah, I'm really stunned. Color me shocked that was going to be where Team 32 was going to be in the Club World Cup that doesn't have a TV deal, that has clubs sitting there wondering, okay, fam, where's the payout? And we finally had venues announced, but there are too many questions and there are answers. And, oh, no, Messi and friends are the wild card. Color me stunned. How did this happen? How did this happen, people? What's the world coming to?
Yeah, I don't know what shocked me less, that or Pochettino eventually being announced by U.S. men's national team as the head coach. I mean, both the shocking things that I never saw coming. And yeah, I mean, it was written in stone. It was clearly going to be the perfect way to transition that Messi is done what he's done in MLS, and he was going to be, and he's going to be in all the marketing and all of the spotlight of the Club World Cup. And now that it's Miami, they were going to use the shield as well. We have to make sure that we give Miami the credit they deserve, and getting the shield should also get them an opportunity to be in the Club World Cup. I mean, it was so obvious was going to happen that it's interesting, is what everybody expected, but good for Miami.
Good for Miami. Okay.
Yes, sir.
This is the handoff. So, all right. So let me ask you this, Niko. Before you came in, we were discussing what happened last night with the match involving Nino's favored at Crew 96 and Messi and friends. I will maintain, and I think that this is probably a majority opinion. All right. So let me ask you, who's the better club, Crew or Messi and friends?
Crew for me. I mean, they've done it for a longer time, for a longer period of time. They've done it in different ways with different coaches. They did not have the need to bring the best player of this generation along with three friends and a guy like Tata Martino that makes scouting just a walk in the park. I mean, it's like, I don't want to offend anybody, but, like Nick Saban and Bama at one point. I mean, the best of the best is going to go there because Tata's there. And so it's so much easier to just get exactly the big wallet. Mm-hmm. And that's just the way it is. And look, as much as I'm happy for Miami, it's so hard sometimes to get behind it because it's so forced and it's so cosmetic from the fan base or part of the fan base to Jorge Mas and his Jerry Jones-like attitude. I mean, last night all over the background of people's interviews and talking and with the shield and all the antics. Come on, man, give me a break. It's cringe, man. Something my son used to use that apparently is no longer cool either, but cringe is what I would say when it comes to that.
So cringe, Jorge Mas. I know
Terrible.
I'm down with it. All right, so Nino, your MLS question for Niko and the handoff. What's on your mind?
Um, what are the chances? What are the chances for Seattle? Now you won yesterday. You're number 4, and expecting expectations. What are your expectations for the playoffs, man?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's a good question because as soccer tends to do, it changes through the weeks. I am still firm that Seattle has no more than a 15% chance of really putting it all together and making it all the way to even the Western Conference final. I understand that results is what drives us, but we got to see beyond it. And as much as it's not Seattle's fault, the calendar has been very benevolent. No HH and no Ponce against Houston, no Ryan Gold and 2 other key components for Vancouver last night. When they beat Columbus, it was 6 players and a field player at goal when they got that 4-0 win. So there's just a lot of things that I continue to hold as I'm not sure what the Sounders will do when they get a full loaded team that's better than they are, and can they put it together? So because of that, I still think that the inertia and the momentum is there to where maybe they will put up a really good performance in their first match. And that changed for me because I felt like they were going to get burned out in the very first game. Now maybe they'll win one and see how it goes from there.
All right. So, Nino, you said what's going on the weekend. What else do folks need to know about what's going on with you and Gold TV and everything else during the week there with you? But what's the word, sir? What do folks need to know?
What they need to know is that the Columbus Crew will be back, and we'll see you again in Miami in the finals of the Eastern Conference Finals, and we see how we do on that thing. All right.
I would agree. And Nino, I would say that, and I never want this to be an excuse, but the refereeing was very lopsided in my opinion. I felt like Busquets had a really tough challenge that could have been a red card that didn't. I felt like the second yellow on Rudy Camacho was very soft.
Hey, that never happens. That Busquets gets a skate.
Yeah, exactly. So, not saying that was the defining factor, but I feel like it definitely played into the game. Chicho, I've never seen him shoot a PK that way. It was very odd. So they could have very easily tied this game. So I believe you. I think Columbus will be back, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in another point of the tournament.
All
yes,
right.
sir.
As always, Nino, great to see you to go fully loaded to take things off in the first half hour of the show, the first half hour of hour number 2 on a Thursday. Be safe, my friend. Have great calls. Save those pipes. Say hi to the boss back behind you, and go take a nap. We'll see you soon, my friend.
See you guys. Take care. Thank you.
That is Nino. And so, yeah, Nino's fired up about his crew this morning.
I'm sure. I mean, everybody would be, right? I mean, it was a good game. It was entertaining. It was fun. But there were some things that were odd and cringe afterwards, and some of the refereeing was questionable. Like I said, even Tito's PK was sus. I don't know. It felt like it was all just ready there for Miami to just take it.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we do on a match day leading into the matchups themselves is we make a point to go through the officiating crews that are attached to matches. And I think disappointingly, more often than not, you end up with center refs that shouldn't be assigned to higher profile games, if that makes any sense, because
Absolutely.
there are center refs that have problems navigating high profile matches involving teams that have that do things stylistically, and you lose control of the match early on, or you secede, you give up control of the match.
Yep.
Unless you're going to call things consistently, and from all indications, it sounds like Drew Fisher, the man in the middle last night for Crew and Messi and Friends, wasn't all that even-handed when it came to his distribution of things. Is that fair?
That is very fair, and I think that's spot on. And that was the odd part about it, is that, and I've always said it, I don't expect the referee to be perfect, Nobody is, but I do expect you to be consistent. And I felt like he really lacked consistency overall. And when he did start to call a lot of fouls on Miami, the switch of the game, the momentum had already shifted. The moment that Columbus had to take this game away was as soon as the first goal comes through, and that was just not there. And a lot of it had to do because of the way the officiating went.
Yeah, and so it's something, and we do this as a public service. Yes, we do rail on officials. Yes, we do rail on pro, but I think at the same time, I think it's just as important to sit there and give folks something to keep an eye on and be vigilant about with your viewing habits and your critical eye as we get to the final match or 2 or 3 in a regular season and get everything all squared away. So it's just things that we would suggest that folks keep an eye out for going forward as we get to crunch time. A couple of other matches last night, and we have to reset the clock on. You know how, like, when there's a building that's under construction, and there's always that sign out front with all the plank boards and everything.
Yep.
Days at this construction site since the last accident happened. Consecutive days of safety, kind of a thing.
Yep.
We do the same thing here involving stupidity down here. And so we had a good run. We had a good run of days where, 15, 16, 17, 18, we've had a good run. But that came crashing to a halt apparently last night in New Jersey, where the FC Cincinnati match and NYC playing at Red Bull Arena in New Jersey, that's just confounding on a bunch of different levels. So according to Pat Brennan, Cincinnati Enquirer, in a match marred by a late stoppage in play due to an FC Cincinnati player reportedly being subjected to discriminatory remarks, FCC dropped its second game in a row, 3-2 loss to NYCFC in a sparse crowd at Red Bull Arena, home of the New York Red Bulls. Color me shocked that it was a sparse crowd. Post-match, the consequences of the defeat for FC Cincinnati took a backseat to what MLS officials stated in a post-match report was a homophobic chant directed at an FCC player. In a separate statement, FCC officials said NYCFC fans were responsible for the chant in question. Around the 86th minute, referee Guido Gonzalez Jr. stopped the match in response to the slur, then discussed the matter with the head coaches of both clubs, instructed stadium officials to proceed with the PSA regarding the incident. Ladies and gentlemen, discrimination has no place in our sport. Fan chant was used as offensive. We asked you not to continue to use the chant. Thank you. Match did not restart until the in-stadium announcement was repeated in Spanish. After it occurred, FC Cincinnati got the match restarted in the 90th minute with a drop ball. After the game, FC Cincinnati head coach Pat Noonan was asked how match officials handled the incident, how he personally felt about one of his players being targeted. At the time, he was still gathering facts, but club and MLS officials would later confirm details of the incident. And so then Pat Noonan says what he says, and statement to the Enquirer, and MLS came up with their statement involving a homophobic slur. We have to reset the stupidity down here clock to 0. We got to put the 0 back on the board outside the construction site here at SDH. I'm real tired of this crap.
Yeah, I'm sick of it. I feel like a lot of times we're poorly influenced as a community, as a society, and those sort of things, unfortunately, happen a lot in Europe and in the top leagues and in South America, and they seem to get misinterpreted as passionate or folkloric or whatever word and term makes people feel better about just being a D word to anybody about whether it's their ethnicity, race, or sexual preference. There's absolutely no room for that in our sport. It should not be tolerated, and I'm glad that it was handled that way. And it actually ended up helping Cincinnati and being a disadvantage to New York that had some momentum building, and because of the whole stoppage, ended up losing some of that momentum. So the result and the sport goes second to this sort of situation. But I feel like because of the stoppage, I'm glad that it affected the team of the people that were trying to make this ridiculous chants.
Yeah. So, good on you. Nicely done. But yeah, we have to reset the stupidity clock back to 0.
Yeah. In a lesser stupid way. We could also add Bernadeschi. Man, he had blinders on last night. I don't know what happened. Let his frustration get the best of him, and he was another uh, factor of stupidity in a lesser important way. But yeah, he did not. He was not very bright last night.
Yeah, no, he was not very bright last night at all. And so, so since you mentioned it, 3-0 win, dominant. Vancouver did have some absences last night. You were plus 179 heading in, but you got the win as a road dog in Cascadia. Obviously, that helps things out when it comes to the standings. But some of your takeaways from the 3-0 win for Seattle last night.
Yep, I think it's the most complete game they've had over the last 2 months in MLS play, meaning away from Leagues Cup. I felt that Brian Smetzer is very lucky to have found two not just contributors, but influential players like Paul Rothrock and Georgia Manungu, both who scored last night. I think specifically Paul is tied in very well with the turnaround the team had when they were having issues, when they needed a spark. And he's become a guy that has surprised many. Last night I asked him that if he was surprised, he said he had high expectations, and he had, I think it was 15 goal contributions, something to that similar number he said about what he had expectations for him. But man, the guy has 8 goals in all competitions, and it's not just the goals, is the press he has, is the effort, is the runs, is the shiftiness of his game. I mean, he's not just a player that is your typical American, just high effort and athletic, and that's it. No, the guy can play. I mean, there's a couple of times where the way he brings down the ball with his shoulder, his eye on the ball. I've talked many times about his nose for goal. So last night we saw a lot of that. Defensively, this team, and I've said it consistently as well, that's the baseline. That's the foundation of Seattle's success, is that defense. Is Yemer Gomez-Andrade, who was unbelievable in the last 2 games. It's Alex Roldan playing well. It's Nuhu last night gets the ball and blocks it on the line. Steph was beat. Yemer was beat. The ball was about to get in the goal, and with that flair that Nuhu has, he gets it out of the back of the net. So, yeah, it was just an overall good performance as a unit. The collective play yesterday was very well. There were moments where Vancouver challenged Seattle, and there were moments that they lost some momentum. And at that time, even when they had to defend a little bit deeper and they had to get more compact, they did that. They were physical. They were good on possession. That's what their game model's about. They're a possession-based team, and last night it was effective, and therefore it's going to help out in the future. But again, this was a Vancouver Whitecaps team with 3 key absences, and therefore we'll see how that plays out. But happy for Paul. I will take some time to give Georgie Manungu his credit, and I need to applaud a kid that has done so much. But last night, he mentioned that his dad died 2 weeks ago, and that he was still playing with the team, and he did not take time off. And he, the way Brian put it, is that he wanted to make the most of his opportunities. So that sort of commitment to the team, that sort of commitment to yourself, is to be applauded. And for a team that got so much heat for being for having no activity and not doing more, or actually not doing anything really in the summer window, a guy like Paul and a guy like Manungu, that last night they could not put him on the leash. I mean, they were trying to figure him out. The way that the step overs, the way he moves his body, the speed. He's a little bit unorthodox with the ball, so he's hard for a defender to kind of figure out where he's going to go. He was fantastic, very good. And I'll finalize by saying that Albert Rusnak as well, career high 16 assistances, I believe, that he has. Very good. He's earned a new contract here as a DP. That was into question at some point, that if he was going to return. If he wasn't, I think that he's finally lived up to that cam, that leader on the field. I saw this morning a tweet though about, this is the best season. This is that. I hope people are ready to admit that this season from Albert Rusnak is better than any of Nicolas Lodero's. And Mark's a guy that I respect. He has some very good knowledge on the team. He used to be or he's still a journalist covering the team. But let me just say this. Yeah, maybe stat-wise, and if you want to limit that to the regular season, then yes, you can make the statement. But the best from Nicolas Lodero came in the postseason, came on what he did afterwards. So that's still to be proven by Albert Rusnak, is that legendary players are built by bringing championships and about stepping up on big moments and not just patting down stats. That's why I'm not a numbers guy. There's a lot more to the game than statistics. So I will say that I disagree with that, because a season as a whole, he has not been better player than Nicolas Lodero. He's the best player of all time for the Seattle Sounders. There's no doubt about that. So let's give him credit without having to take credit away from a guy like Nicolas Lodero.
Give him credit, but slow your roll, basically.
Yes. Slow your roll, baby.
With that win, 2 matches to go, Seattle's 53 points, and you have the tiebreaker on RSL, even on goal difference, but you've got one more win with 2 matches to go. So the street fight will continue in the chase group in the Western Conference. LAFC 3 matches to go, 2 points clear of Seattle on RSL. Houston right now at 51 points, Colorado at 50, and then you get into Vancouver, Minnesota, Portland. Portland had a chance last night to kind of get out of that ish that's 8-9, but Austin came up and bit them, winning 1-0 at a plus 434. So it draws Austin closer. Austin's got to win out and get tiebreakers, and they'd be even with wins and everything like that. Interesting win for Austin. Portland stepped on a rake last night when they had a chance not to.
Austin just playing spoiler at this point, man. I mean, that's all they're doing. They drew RSL a week ago, last game, and they beat Portland for what? You're just spoiling people's chances, but it's on Portland. Portland had chances. Portland created. Evander looked frustrated at the end of the game. I mean, I've said it 1,000 times. With no Evander, there's no glory, and when he's not shining, neither is Portland. The goal was a deflection. Good for Stuver, who's been by far the MVP for Austin, the most consistent player. Just the way he's kept that team going is amazing at the goalkeeping position. But yeah, Portland should have done more. Minnesota's not losing a beat. So I think that we're starting to see those teams that are going to stay above. Good for Seattle to be in third. I was not expecting it. They have a tough game against Colorado coming up. But yeah, the West, I think, is starting to take shape. And if there's 2 teams that should be worried, RSL, because man, it feels like there's the curse of the Bambino, and then there's the curse of the Colombino, because once Andres Gomez was out, they have not been the same, baby. They have not been the same. Not Chicho has been the same. The attack hasn't been the same, and they really need to figure it out before. And Portland, man, if they keep dropping points, if they keep giving these teams a way in, they might find themselves out.
Yep, and the East is its standard amount of chaos. We talked about Messi and friends getting the win last night in a very unevenly called match at Crew. Joseph gets a brace last night at a plus 380. Atlanta loses 2-1. Charlotte gets rid of the dumpster fire. They were a favorite and won. NYC exposes Cincinnati's issues at the back once again, winning 3-2. Purple team won at home, beating Philadelphia 2-1. Red Bulls, and you mentioned what's going on with Toronto FC. It's like, I don't know what Toronto FC team's going to show up on any given time. And so the standings in the East after the end of the day, we'll get into cliffhanger in just a second. Eastern Conference, Messi and friends are clear, and they're going to the Club World Cup. Who knew? Cruz at 57, but they've got a match in hand on Cincinnati. I'm worried about Cincinnati. I really am. With all the injuries that they have at the back, they're going to have to outscore folks. I don't know if they can do that.
You should be.
Purple teams 1-4 of 5. They're at 49 and 4th. NYC is 2 wins ahead of Red Bulls at 47. That gets us to Charlotte at 7th at 45. CF Montreal's at 40. They're unbeaten in their last 5. They've got some separation on everybody else. Toronto FC, now everybody's the one that's gunning for you. You've only got one point in your last 4 matches. You only have 1 match left, so you'll be a sitting duck on decision day. Philadelphia's at 37, 9 wins. DC's at 37, 9 wins. Atlanta's at 34, 8 wins. Nashville's at 33, 8 wins. The Revs, they need to win out and have everybody else lose out. And the Revs right now are at 31. They've lost 3 of 5. And the Dumpster Fire have been eliminated. They have 1 match to go and can't get any higher than 33 points. All right, so that sets up cliffhanger. And, actually, what do you think about what's going on in the East and the chaos before we get into cliffhanger?
I think Charlotte heard us talking, and they decided to figure it out and score some goals and find their way through. And they've been moving up. Toronto just seems like they're imploding, and it's about to, just the wheels are about to fall off that bus real quick. All the rainbows and sunshine that was that locker room and a new head coach is no longer there. And I think between DC and Philadelphia, they both have a really good chance. I like DC. Benteke just takes so much pressure off everybody on the field. I mean, last night they're in a thriller in a 4-3 game against Nashville, and Pirani's 2 goals, they are set up by everybody just looking for Benteke. Where's Benteke? Where is he at? Where are we at? Oh, you forgot about me, and there goes a brace. So it's an interesting team. I do think Toronto will find themselves out, though.
Yep, and Toronto has Messi and friends at home this weekend at a plus 129. Messi and friends are in the barn. They don't care, but I mean, shoot. What was it Sasha Klestin said, that Messi was out of 15 games and he scored 17 goals in the games that he was actually in. So Messi and friends in a game that doesn't mean anything on the road at a plus 177. I still think they get a result. I think Toronto continues to fall.
Yeah, I think they get a result, but I don't think I'd want too much action on that game just because we don't know what's going to be the Miami that plays out. I don't doubt that Tata is looking at the points all-time record because that's just who Tata is. But I also think that he's also looking at that wear and tear of his team, and he might just put a rotationary team against Toronto. So, yes, they'll get the win. Don't know about the goals.
Atlanta and Red Bulls. Atlanta's favored, must-win situation. Red Bulls come to town. They got Forsberg back there at a plus 124. Red Bulls a plus 192. What do you think?
Oh, man, that's a tough one, man. Atlanta against Montreal was just tough. I mean, Joseph he really came out after you guys. I respect the fact he did not celebrate, but, man, you couldn't have written that anymore.
You can't give him that much space. You can't.
Yeah. Absolutely. You have to know where he's at all times. It's tough. And Red Bulls, they're such a different team when Forsberg's in there. I still see a draw in this one. I feel like it'll be a game where both teams are inconsistent. Both teams are hard to decipher. I think a draw is a safe bet on this one.
Charlotte's playing CF Montreal. Good for them. Crew hosting Philadelphia at a minus 161. What do you think?
I went nothing. Where are the goals? I definitely those numbers are not going to get any better. So the only thing that I would want in this game is maybe goals. I could see Columbus coming in there trying to work something out. So let's just look at the goals.
2.5 is a minus 130. 3 is a minus 152. 3.5 is where it flips to a plus 108 on the over.
I want nothing to do with that game, but I say Columbus takes the win.
Why does that not surprise me? Absolutely. All right. So, interesting one here. FC Cincinnati at a minus 109 hosting the Purple Team at a plus 260.
Orlando is a plus 260.
Mm-hmm.
So give me, as you look for the goals for me, please. Let me just say, FC Cincinnati has won 2 of their last 7 games. They've been inconsistent. They've been beat out. The defense is not what it used to be. I'm shocked out of my mind that Miles Robinson got called up for the U.S. men's national team, to be frank. So, yeah, Cincinnati is just a very is a shell of what they were last season. They really are. It's just a shell. It's just the jersey now. And because of that, I think Orlando City does win this one, but it'll be a thriller as well. So what are the goals?
3 is a minus 104. 3.5 on the over is a plus 147.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're not giving you much choice. They know what's going on. So, yeah, I just take Orlando and find yourself, lucky with that. But I think Orlando wins it, and they give Cincinnati another tough loss and a lot more to think about for a team that at some point we thought was a candidate for the Cup.
And then you get all those injuries at the back, and you're trying to figure out, okay, who's going to do what? Hey, have you played left? Have you played right back in your life? Yeah, back when I was playing U8. Okay, fine, you're at right back. So purple team at a plus 260. Out west, shoot, let's just go. We got a couple on Sunday, NYC in Nashville, Portland, and Dallas. But yeah, let's just go straight to your game. Colorado and the Prairie Dogs hosting Seattle at a plus 127. Seattle is a plus 194. Draws. What do you think about this one?
Ooh, what's the draw?
Well, the draw is, after I click on yours, the draw is a plus 257 in the composite.
Yeah. I mean, that's tough. I honestly, Colorado's a tough team. Seattle has a hard time in Colorado. But I think that they'll have enough defensively to hold and limit a lot of what Colorado likes to do. Likewise, I think that Colorado will do a lot to limit Seattle's efforts offensively. We got a nice little break eventually for this game after that, and it's gonna be interesting how that plays out. I think Seattle will go all out. Brian has not rotated his squad. I asked him about rotation yesterday, and he answered me with a shoe in his hand and was just like, if you look at the calendar, you would know. I do look at the calendar, Brian. I'm aware.
He's going Nikita Khrushchev on you, and he's banging.
Yeah, I'm aware of the calendar, Brian. Don't treat me like a rookie here. I was just asking because you have been very reluctant to rotate your squad. So I think that one would be a safe bet to say is going to be a draw.
All right. So I just had this vision now of Crusher Schmetzer sitting there and he's banging the table.
Yeah.
Took his loafer off and he's banging the left turn with it. How dare you ask me about the calendar? All right. So what's going on with Pulso Sports and the soccer bar, my friend?
All right, well, we got Soccer Bar here in about 40 minutes. We're going to be taking a deep dive into a lot of this. We're going to take a deep dive into Inter Miami. As much as people hate it, we have to give Miami their credit. We have to go into it. We'll talk to Jorge Mas, man. I'm going to be talking about Jorge Mas's antics there, man. It was so weird. Just in the back of every interview, just kissing, hugging, Tata looking at the camera like, oh, I'm not really sure if you're on camera, Jorge. Come on, stop it. We'll talk about that.
That's so Jorge.
So great. It's so Jorge. It's terrible. We'll obviously talk about Seattle, what's coming up, Colorado. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into what that game kind of meant for the team and what it could mean for the future. So it'll be a good one. And in Pulso Sports, we probably won't have anything until the team is back. There's no availability today. I don't think there's any on Friday. So whenever they're back, we'll be back at Pulso Sports. I'm also taking a trip to Vegas. Oh. So these juice boxes are going to be very convenient for me. And that's why, if you would allow me, sir, I would want you to please let me know if you have a way to look at the goals for the LA Galaxy Austin, because I feel like Austin has done some things as of late where maybe Vegas is thinking this one might not be a high scoring game, but LA Galaxy and Ricky Puig with the Salt Babe last night and his two best friend in Pencil and Peck. I think if that one's a high scoring game, I'd be willing to go as far as 4.5 on that one.
Plus 185 on the over.
For 4.5?
4.5 is a plus 180.
Give me something, Vegas. Come on.
Plus 185 on the over at 4.5.
Oh, that's tough. Dang it. All right. Well, that's not going to work. But either way, I'll be in Vegas, so all of these juice boxes will come very handy. So, man, it's going to be a fun weekend. So Pulso Sports might be a little delayed on some information, but we'll be back on Monday, nice and ready to go.
Beautiful. Love it. Be safe when you have fun as you're staring at all of the video monitors that have all of the juice box activity going on and sensory overload and everything. And please get there safely, come home safely, enjoy your trip, and we will see you next week in the international window talking about where things stand as we get ready for international windows and decision day and all that kind of stuff. Be well, my friend. We'll catch up with you next week.
Thank you, my friend. Have a good one.
All right. He's going to go Rave Green. Oh, is that 2 or 3, by the way?
3, man. I had to watch a lot of games last night. you know me, man. I gotta see. I had to rewatch the Colorado. I mean, I had to rewatch the Orlando game. I had to rewatch the Inter Miami game. I was up for a while, so this is my third.
No doubt. All right. Well, I'm right there with you. You've got your coffee. I got my soda, and we'll rock and roll. We'll see you next week.
Take it easy, my friend.
All right. That's Niko, and it's always great to catch up with Niko and find out what's going on the West Coast. Okay. Like I said, we kind of Sadie Hawkins the show.